Okay, so now we're going to move on to words from Susan. Go ahead, Susan.
Thanks. So, my little topic today is advanced concepts in biotensegrity. What are they? How do we discover them? How do we hunt them down? How do we find them? And it's Susan Koenig gave me a really good lead in because she talked about how Steve's presentations are so entertaining, but also so packed. And you have to freeze the screen and then go back. Well, I think that's intentional. I think he is giving us a lot of breadcrumbs to follow. And when I was writing Everything Moves and I realized the crazy scope of what I was trying to do and what was being called for, if you could kind of look at the book that way, where all through the book, I'm saying, okay, you know, I'm presenting a subject that we can't go into in any depth in the book, but here it is for you. Any of those things can be an advanced concept. Here in the United States, at least, probably other places as well, they'll go and build a highway from A to B across an open territory, and they'll build in some exits, even though there isn't a town there yet. Okay. They'll build in the exit ramps every whatever number of miles, even though there's no road for it to go to, anticipating that at some point, as things populate and expand, those will be needed. Um, Now, this is something I've heard. I'm no expert on highway engineering, but the concept stands. If you could go through Everything Moves and just say, okay, what are all the things that if I had the time, I could go down this road, I could go down that road. There are a lot of potential exit ramps. And you may recall some months back, Jean-Claude Gimberteau is on a tea party with us. And I said something about a strange attractor. And he said, wait a minute, wait a minute. You just said something from complexity science, da da da. And I said, yeah. And his, I think that through the work we've been doing as a community, his appreciation for and understanding of what's going on in this biotensegrity oriented community has changed, has developed. Where I think that a lot of the people he had known, I'm just going back to when I first met him was 2015. Um, and I think a lot of the people who were connecting with him who knew something about biotensegrity, uh, biotensegrity was being seen as a weird offshoot of the study of the fascia. And that, once you understand that the sticks are the bones and the cables are the tendons, ligaments, and muscles and whatever, um, you're good to go. And he had no idea that we were studying complexity, that we were studying that system science was part of what we're doing. Um, and on the other hand, when I started really working with Steve closely and intensely and going, to his house a couple of times a week to work and all of that stuff, he bought me two books. And one was Cells, Gels, and the Engines of Life by Jerry Pollack. And the other one was von Bertalanffy's System Science book. And he said, you got to understand this. So there you go. There are some advanced concepts. So part of part of the advanced concepts is you and what you're bringing to it. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give everybody, we're going to all take a minute, me included, and you're just going to write down any advanced concept in biotensegrity or adjunct concepts. Don't worry about the word advanced. Advanced is where you take it, how deep you go into it. And this includes related fields, activities, um, models, anything. And so I'm gonna set a timer and just don't worry about it, but just write words down, okay? Or on your computer, on your mark, get set, go. All right, that's good. Now, draw lines or draw circles and see what you can connect. See if there are any things that connect with each other, like these are the same category or the same level. Just take a minute to do that. There may or may not be surprises there. And we're just going to take a couple of minutes to talk about what we've come up with. Okay. We don't need to know everything on everybody's list. But I will say for me, who knew that this was coming, okay? I knew we were going to do this, and I have a surprise here. For a long time, there was a guy on Twitter who was doing work in the Bay of Santander in Spain, and he was, I don't know, it was like a small world kind of thing. He'd get some pond scum or beach scum, and there were these amazing organisms and what they were doing and how they were moving. It was just, it would just kind of blow my mind every time. I think he's moved on to other projects, but it was just amazing to me. It's like, okay, biotensegrity is explaining these movements. How? And I know conventional biomechanics is not explaining these movements at all. So, what is the relation of that, and what is the relation of that to me? And one of the things on my crazy list here is dinosaurs. And I thought, okay, well, those little creatures from Santander, from the Bay, they relate to dinosaurs. How? You know? And how don't they? I mean, in my intuitively, it goes back to what Nuno was talking about, where this is all about nature and how nature does things. And so here are the tiniest things that are here today, and some of the largest things that are long gone, but they're all living organisms. So, um, do you want us to, should I pick somebody or does anybody want to jump in next? Oh, and the other thing I said to Chris before our meeting today, before Chris started bringing it into us as a community, I wouldn't have thought of crochet as an advanced concept in biotensegrity, but it is because it's an advanced concept in biology. And for those of you who haven't seen that tea party, I welcome you to it. There we go. It's a really cool tea party with Margaret Worthiam, and I'm spacing out the name of the other woman, Chris. There we go. Dana Tamino. Yeah. Hyperbolic crochet. Okay. Does anybody want to
Cro-
jump in?
Crocheting adventures with hyperbolic planes, tactile mathematics, art and craft for all to explore.
Isn't
But
that amazing?
Chris is the expert on crochet. Her
She is.
hyperbolic crochets are amazing. You can't be hyperbolic enough about them.
All right, Jason, you're the one talking. Why don't we hear
No,
something
no,
from your list then?
no, I just talked. This isn't a round robin draft situation or a snake draft.
It
Let's
isn't?
go. No, we go back to the beginning. No, or who was first?
I'm sorry. Did you know something about this class that I didn't?
I pass. Uh,
All right. What is this process like? Does anybody want to say anything? Maybe it's not a useful process.
I can say what I wrote.
Okay.
I don't know exactly if I understood what you asked, but I just wrote three things: emergence,
Mm.
indeterminacy, and spirals. And I see the two first completely interrelated. Emergence is something that is undetermined. Undetermined is something that emerges. And spirals are like the physicality, the coming into matter of these two, at least of these two uh, things. Spirals emerge, and how they emerge is undetermined. How matter organizes itself. I don't know if that was the purpose, but
Maybe
that's what I wrote.
undetermined, like kinematic
And
indeterminacy.
yes,
Uh, uh, that's great. None of those terms did I have on my paper, so that's great. Who else?
Okay, I do agree with you. I think of advanced concepts as something that I might choose to take a deeper dive into. And I want to say crocheting these things really gave me a sense of how the shape just emerges. So there's your emergence, and it stuck with me. But I had a whole bunch of words, and what I found is that they're all related to each other.
Hmm.
So, yeah, they like each one I could take a line from one to the others. I had everything from philosophy, which is something, as I was saying earlier, I just realized that I'm quite interested in the philosophy. Um, Energy, indeterminacy, soft matter, complexity science, quantum physics, which scary. Um, Physics and math, model building, tensegrity, crochet, CKCs, thermodynamics, but also, of course, there was movement and swimming and breathing. And one of the things came up for me that I'm familiar with, but I haven't taken a deep dive into, is hand mudras. Bruna and I are working on this CKC webinar for the Fascia Hub. And anytime I go to CKCs, this thought of CKCs, and I'm experimenting with my hands and what I do with my hands, how such a small movement can dramatically change the way I'm breathing, is always interesting to me. So, and I
Cool.
pass it back to you, Susan, or
Or anyone, please.
I can talk. I think for me, all the things I wrote are interconnected, but relationship was something that very interested me, and also education and how we can understand the way we educated ourselves, our children, and other professionals. But I also wrote energy, application in movement, complex system, fractals, vectors, imageries, emergent properties, therapeutic field, soft matter, a lot of things, forces, and then going. But for me, was everything is connected, and I almost draw a tensegrity model trying to make the points.
That's great.
Good.
Mary, you're unmuted. Did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I just wrote turbulence and phase changes and patience and time and surprising responses at a distance from the local event, which is, and that's as far as I got. I'm slow thinking.
No, but that's good. I didn't have any of those. Pretty sure I didn't have any of those. And so that's another thing about this, right? Is we're all in it, right? We're all deep into this because you're here, right? But then what bubbles up here and there is important. And something, a road you go down, like I couldn't get there with crochet the way Chris did, try as I might. And I hope to revisit it. I've got all the stuff, but everybody's getting called in different directions, and that's good. We help each other that way.
I forgot origami. That's another one.
Right. Or
Origami,
right.
yeah.
Right. The origami stuff's been great. And there's been a
That's
lot.
making these mushrooms.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, it's actually not a very good one, but here's one.
Wow.
Okay, sorry, I got excited.
No, it's if you look up biology and origami, you'll find so much stuff. It's great. Bob, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I'll jump in. As I said, I went in a different direction because again, I'm not quite sure what you were asking, but I certainly would have included a lot of the other, items on the list. But the first thing that always comes to mind, I guess, where mine is going was the phrase, structure and function. It's like it's the combination thereof, and it's my understanding, especially with a lot of research that's coming out of fascia and a lot of things, concepts, it's all about structure and how structure moves. But what's the functional application of it? And for me, what is the physiological ramifications of changes in structure? How do they, intertwine? And so one advanced concept I was telling Susan about yesterday that I'm really excited about is the field that I didn't really know anything about, which is mechanomedicine, and we were kind of introduced to that with Donald Ingber's organs on a chip, and so just this whole new field is emerging, and all these new technologies where they can measure things on a really small level, but it's changing the mechanics. And if it's changing mechanics, how is that affecting, biology, and how is it affecting? And so I find that a fascinating new advanced concept and looking things in a direction that's exciting me.
Yeah, and sometimes these advanced concepts are technology led. I mean, the guy with the microbes or the little organisms from the Bay of Santander, he had this stuff and he was able to show us some things that we hadn't seen before. Um, if you look at I think Nikon does a small world contest every year. Look at some of that stuff. And this is what Jean-Claude Gimberteau, this is what happened. He noticed some things and then he kept going in and over again for years with his endoscope acquiring data. Um, because the technology allowed him to do something that nobody had done before. And then it's like, okay, how do I keep the frameworks that I bring? This is the getting back to the philosophy that Nuno was talking about. We end up with a philosophy, a framework for seeing the world that we don't even know we have because we haven't thought about it. We've just kind of eaten up what the culture presents us with. And then you see something like Gimberto's, strolling under the skin or something, and you're realizing that does not square with that. What's going on? I have to rethink this. So thank you.
Yeah, and I was just thinking about things that, Steve had said before, is that, biotensegrity has never been proven, but it's never been necessarily disproven. So like even reading through some of that material, it's highly technical and they're really getting into new advanced techniques, and they're not relating it to, biotensegrity or anything at all, though it has a direct application. And I think that's kind of going to be our role, is taking these new things and it's like, wait a minute, this fits into the paradigm too, and here's the application of it, in time. So
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning the word paradigm exactly. And so of course that's Kuhn's work as well that we want to be aware of. Susan and Jason, did either of you want to jump in before we move on? Susan, you'll have to unmute, I think.
Here's what I circled. That not that everything can. I agree with Bruna. You can connect everything, but models, first principles, geodesics, clinical application, language, creativity, and novelty generation.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. It's great because it's such a different perspective from my own, and it's a different list than what I had. It's great. Thank you. Jason, last chance. You had said you didn't want to. Did you change your mind or you?
No, I wanted to pass because I hadn't wrapped my head around the exercise. But thank you, everybody, for doing a much better job than I have down. But uh, I'll say something at the end. So I started with auxetics and just, you know, uh, you know, from there went elasticity, pre-stress, chirality, crimp, weaving, warp, weft, topology, geometry, fractal, soft matter, and then ran the car off the cliff. I didn't, obviously the origami and the crochet, I appreciated Susan and Chris bringing those up. But what this all reminds me of is when I guess it's in the embodied biotensegrity, the Marie Marguerite's word gardens.
Mhm.
And we haven't seen Marie Marguerite for a while, but if it might be an interesting exercise to take all the things that people have put, in this last few minutes and construct something like that, and then we could either reference Susan's glossary or each add our own little contribution to those topics in some kind of interactive Canva or other thing, which is what I talked to Marie Marguerite about doing. And Chris, you were, part of that. So just flag that as an idea. But yeah,
Right?
it definitely you know, uh, reminded me of the word garden. I have a printout of it, which I'll grab in a sec.
Yeah, I remember it. That's great. And of course it would be huge. All right, Chris,
Easy to do.
Can I jump in here
yeah.
and let everybody know I will put the link to the glossary in the email or the email I send out to you. But
I was
when
talking
just
about the Susan's book glossary.
yeah, that's what I was
In the
going
book.
to say. So within the course platform, there's a whole section with a glossary that is based on Susan's glossary from her book. But when we originally talked about that, Susan gave the invitation to contribute to it. And this could be a working document, something that Bruna and Nuno and I had talked about also in Portugal, that you can add your words there and definitions. Go ahead, Susan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. So we're gonna move into the open exchange in a second, but we have talked about pre-stress and force, and and there we go. Um, Probably any one of these words could generate its own word garden as well. So,
Mhm.
um,
Wow.
yeah, I know. So, Chris, you want to stop the recording and then we'll do open exchange. And it can be on anything, including the research papers that people put up.